Welcome into OutKick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Thursdays, wherever you may be across this great country or this great land. I promised my kids I would say this right off the top because so many of you are commenting and liking our videos on YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. If you like this show, click subscribe and give me a great comment down below. I appreciate all of you on YouTube. It's where all my kids watch everything. And we've got millions of viewers every month on YouTube, and I appreciate all of you. In addition, I like all of you, whether you're watching on Twitter, whether you're watching on Facebook, whether you're watching on YouTube, or whether you are listening to the audio-only version or just watching a short clip. Wherever you are, I appreciate you. Go sign up today for the OutKick VIP, outkick.com/VIP. We are giving away right now an awesome and fun experience. Airfare for two nights at the Omni Hotel in downtown Nashville, an ability to attend our VIP event on March the 19th, and dinner with me on the Thursday before the official start of the NCAA tournament. You can go get signed up on OutKick. You can find that sign up as well. Plus, you can go sign up for VIP. Get ready for live events to come roaring back. We are going to be doing live events starting soon, including that one in Nashville on March the 19th. How do you sign up? OutKick.com/VIP. I have been signing thousands of books. And good news, everybody who is entitled to a autographed copy of my book as an OutKick VIP, they should all be out within the next couple of days. So if you've been waiting for a long time for an autographed copy of my book, and I think we now have procured enough copies that new VIPs will now be able to get autographed copies of the book. But in the meantime, everybody that is backlogged, I am signing them all individually, all by hand myself. No high-tech gizmos helping me out, and those should be going out, much of them, for the rest of the week. All right, some really good news out there. The Atlanta Braves are hosting the the All-Star Game. I'd love if they host the World Series too, so would my 10-year-old. The Atlanta Braves are hosting the All-Star Game July 13th in Truist Park down at the Battery. Phenomenal setup in the Atlanta, Georgia area. They are planning. Reports came out today that they are planning, the Braves are, to have 100% full stadium on July 13th. That's fantastic news. I think it's well within the bounds of a reasonable expectation to believe that that is going to be possible. Again, a 100% full stadium for the All-Star Game on July 13th. I think it should happen sooner than then. If you have been listening to my radio show, you know that I started to argue that since the Joe Biden administration has said everybody will have COVID vaccines by May the 31st, that there's no reason whatsoever why everyone shouldn't be able to go to any entertainment venue they want by June 1st, whether it's a sporting event, movies, concerts, you name it. You should be able to go, I believe, to whatever you want, 100% full capacity everywhere in the country by June 1st. But that's good news of sports helping to lead the way. Props to the Atlanta Braves for being willing to say that they are planning for 100% full stadium. Speaking of which, the Joe Biden is, I don't know that Joe Biden knows from one moment to the next exactly what is going on or what his reasonable expectations are of life right now. But if you didn't see this, Joe Biden came out and said that the state of Texas were making Neanderthal decisions. Same thing with Mississippi, that they were lifting COVID restrictions and guilty of, quote, Neanderthal thinking. And the governor of Montana, Greg Gianforte, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I am mispronouncing it, my bad. He tweeted, props to him, if making data-driven decisions to reopen, loving freedom, and trying to get back to normal is what a Neanderthal would do, then, well, I guess you can count me as one. Well said. It's past time to start to open up every state, and my props once more to Texas. Texas forever, clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. Props to my fellow Vanderbilt Law alum, Greg Abbott, for making the decision to open up the state of Texas, and also for everybody else that is starting to open up as well. Speaking of COVID insanity, do all of you remember when all of the Corona bros in sports media decided to run around like crazy over the myocarditis fear porn that they decided to spread? It was an argument for why it was going to be impossible to play college football. Basically, if you have a favorite college football writer or NFL writer, they probably shared fear porn about how unsafe it was going to be. Well, the official data is now out, and the official data, what do you think it showed? The official data showed that the Corona bros were, what's the story here? Wrong once more. I'll read you the official data. They did a study of all the pro sports out there to determine whether or not it was going to be a real issue. Major League Baseball, the MLS, NBA, NHL, NFL, and WNBA did a study that was published today by the Journal of American Medical Association Cardiology. And they went through with all of the players that had tested positive. They went through and checked 789 COVID-19 positive athletes, and they found inflammatory heart disease in 0.6% of athletes, which frankly is probably about the baseline because this happens with many different viruses. In other words, there was no danger found of myocarditis from COVID-19 in any of these athletes, meaning all of those Corona bros who would have told you that it's impossible to play football and tried to get the season stopped as a result of their fear porn, yet another issue that they were 100 billion% wrong on. More good news. The Big Ten, which was, by the way, the king of the myocarditis panic porn, the king of the fear porn, the Big Ten next week is going to allow 8,000 fans to be present for their Big Ten basketball tournament. Crazily, it will be the first time in over a year that the Big Ten will have allowed fans to be present at their sporting events. That's wild. A full year, the Big Ten hasn't allowed fans to be present, but even the Big Ten is going to be allowing fans, 8,000 of them next week. A couple of other big stories. Did you see that Baker Mayfield reported that he saw a UFO driving home in the Austin area with his wife? He tweeted out that he had seen a UFO over the very well-named Lake Travis in Austin, Texas. I don't really know. You know, it used to be people were like, oh, UFOs aren't real. But now that the federal government basically acknowledged that UFOs are real, and 2020 was so crazy that this bit of news just got completely buried overall in the process. The UFOs, to me, really interesting storyline there. The UFO, I believe in UFOs. I believe in aliens. I think aliens have probably visited the planet Earth at some point in time. I think they have technology that is far in excess of our ability to track them. Not a surprise. And yes, I believe in UFOs. I believe in aliens. I believe in ghosts. I think we always have a small measure of actual knowledge about our surrounding world, and everybody thinks they know everything. And then 100 years from now, we all look like idiots. So I kind of buy into the idea that there are UFOs. Not sure whether or not Baker Mayfield saw a UFO, but I would be interested if he had a video to be able to see exactly what that UFO looked like. Speaking of the NFL, Amazon is reportedly going to get Thursday Night Football rights in 2 more years. So Fox has Thursday Night Football for the 2021 season and also for the 2022 season. So that in and of itself will be interesting to see how all of that is breaking out going forward as it pertains to the larger universe of NFL rights. It looks like Fox is going to keep their NFC package. CBS is going to keep their AFC package. ESPN is going to get Monday Night Football, and NBC is going to retain Sunday Night Football. but it looks like in a couple of years, the games on Thursday night are going to move primarily to streaming through the Amazon service. Now, I feel like an old man now. I want to sit down in front of my television, and I don't want to have to figure out what my passwords are to Amazon Prime or to Hulu or to Paramount or to or to Disney Plus or Netflix or all those. I'd like to be able to just sit down and watch whatever I want whenever I want to watch it. And so I feel like an old man saying I'm not looking forward to being able to try to figure out how to track down this Amazon Prime game because it's going to matter and make me have to remember what my Amazon Prime password is, and then I got to figure out an old email address and all this different stuff. But I understand this is the direction we're going. Eventually, everything is going to be streamed because the number of people who are actually going to be subscribed to a cable and satellite package, according to a Moffett-Nathanson report, is going to be down around 50 million subscribers sooner rather than later. Already, all of the television ratings for everything are collapsing in the world of sports, and I think we're ultimately just going to replace the cable and satellite bundle with streaming services, which are going to end up costing us more than the cable and satellite bundle used to cost us back in the day. But it appears that Amazon could be ready to get Thursday Night Football in a couple of years. Speaking of cost, Skip Bayless, according to a report in the New York Post, just signed a 4-year, $32 million extension to be at FS1 and do his Undisputed show alongside of Shannon Sharpe. This means that Skip and Stephen A. are both members of the $8 million a year brigade. Some people get outraged. Some people get upset when stories like these come out. I don't hate anybody for maximizing as much money as they possibly can make. I mean, that's the dream of capitalism in America. I also root for everybody in my industry to make as much as possible because a rising tide really does lift all boats. And so Skip is continuing to accelerate the earnings potential of people on television and also of people in the sports media space. So props to Skip Bayless for getting $8 million a year for the next 4 years. I think he'll be 73 years old when that contract is up. People don't realize it, but Skip Bayless is 69 years old now, and he'll be making $8 million a year for the next 4 years. Finally, I just want you to think about this for a minute. We are in a backwards world when people are perpetually offended by things that aren't offensive and actually defend offensive content. And what I mean by that is I'm a First Amendment absolutist, so I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe in cancel culture. I don't believe in anything of the sort. But when Cardi B's WAP, Wet Ass Pussy, as it is known, is able to be the song of the year, and if you've actually seen the lyrics for that song, whatever, if you want to call them lyrics, and I'm not opposed to strippers and I'm not opposed to nudity. In fact, I'm very much in favor of it. But how can you argue that Dr. Seuss is unacceptable and WAP is the song of the year? How is it that the Muppets need a warning and Dr. Seuss is unacceptable? And yet the same society is fine with the most violent, misogynistic, absurdly ridiculous rap lyrics, and nobody is allowed to even point out the inconsistency and incongruency of the precedent that is being set, where on the one hand we are offended and outraged and demanding that things be changed, and on the other hand, if you raise any issue at all with violent, misogynistic, racist rap lyrics, then people are like, oh my God, that's unacceptable. How dare you raise that as an issue? Now, my perspective is I think everything should be available to everybody. I don't believe in banning books. I don't believe in censorship. I don't believe in not permitting people to experience the full fruition of content in American life, because to me, that is what distinguishes us, or at least used to distinguish us, from China. And that gives us a competitive advantage because creativity, I believe, comes from a mental experience with a wide variety of different dynamics and perspectives out there. And if you restrict people's ability to interact with any possible book or article or opinion, then you are restricting the creative flow, which detracts from the creative dynamicism, which has allowed America to dominate across the entire world, not just economically, but perhaps more importantly, culturally. And so I just don't understand the logic that applies when you're telling me what happened on Mulberry Street by Dr. Seuss is so triggering that it shouldn't be sold anymore. And at the same time, Wet Ass Pussy, WAP by Cardi B, is becoming the #1 song in America. I don't understand that disconnect. Either content should triumph and censorship should fail, or it shouldn't. We can't have arbitrary rules that are being applied which are nonsensical, inconsistent, and lacking in all precedential value. What upsets many people who don't like me or don't like OutKick is in the back of their minds, I think they know that I'm right and that the logic of my arguments is sound and that they can't actually defeat them because there is a consistency to them which is lacking in almost all media and politics, frankly, today. And so what I try to determine is what should the rule be? And then I want that rule evenly applied, whether the person is a Republican, a Democrat, independent, black, white, Asian, Hispanic, gay or straight, religious, not religious, American-born or non-American-born. I want the same rules to apply to all. That's the very essence of our judicial system. That's the very basis of our legal process in general. And right now, that isn't happening. There is an inconsistency and an illogic that is driving many of the decisions that are being made in America today. So when I see that Universal Studios is thinking about banning Seuss Land, which I just visited with my kids in December and which they loved, when I see stories like that, I wonder how Universal could also be fine with distributing absolutely ridiculous music, which in many ways I think glorifies criminality of American life. The consistency there doesn't connect. And so what is the precedent that is at play? If you're going to be offended by everything, you certainly should be offended by Cardi B and not, to me, also be offended by Dr. Seuss. Or you got to be offended by nothing, right? Like there needs to be a logic that applies. I'm in favor of rap and rap lyrics being as profoundly intemperate as you can possibly imagine, right? Same thing for rock music, same thing for any type of American culture. I think people should be able to consume porn. I think they should be able to watch any movie that they want to watch. I think they should be able to buy any book that they want to buy. That's not what's happening right now. We have got an illogical and systemically flawed process of cancel culture that has taken root in this country. And what is being canceled is oftentimes a scintilla as offensive as what is being propagated up by major media companies. So again, I would just ask you, where is the logic? Where is the consistency? Where is the precedent? How can Dr. Seuss and the Muppets be unacceptable, but Cardi B can have the top song in America and it can be called Wet Ass Pussy? Just a question for you. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. I am Clay Travis. Open up everything. I want 100% attendance for every single sporting event in the country now. Right now, sooner rather than later. This has been OutKick the Show. I will be on television in about an hour. I'll be with you on radio tomorrow morning, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. I appreciate all of you hanging out with me. Go sign up for the OutKick VIP. And if you enjoy these discussions on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe and give us a like. This has been OutKick the Show.